Welcome to Cozy Coven Chats with Jenny C. Bell, where we explore the journey of the witch. Hi, witches, and welcome to another Cozy Coven Chat. I am your host, Jenny C. Bell, and this is for the week of January 18th, 2026. Oh, okay. January, yes, of course. I don't know. I don't know if it's just that as we age, time feels weird, or I saw something recently about millennials sensing time differently because of all the crazy things that have happened in our lifetime. I don't really know. But yeah, okay, January 18th. Today is a new moon. It is a new moon in Capricorn. And remember, if you weren't fully prepared to celebrate this new moon, that's okay because you can always celebrate 3 days after, right? We're still in the energy. And there's also a lot of people that don't like to celebrate the new moon. They don't like to do anything on the new moon. They see it as dark moon and don't really feel like it. So I think full moons in general are more potent, and witches tend to celebrate them and call those S-bats. New moon, it's kind of up to you, right? I think it's more new age, I think, to celebrate the new moon. When I was a witch for like a long time, I didn't do anything with the new moon. It was only the full moon and the waxing and the waning moon. So always up to you. It's in Capricorn, which is all about structure and goals. So last week we talked about planting seeds, and this January feeling more like planting seeds than normal. And so this might be a good day or time frame this week to work on a vision board, to set goals, to start to think about what you want out of 2026, to do a year ahead reading if you haven't done that. Lots of fresh start energy and structure this week. We also have the beginning of Aquarius season on the 19th, which I don't know why. It's one of my favorite seasons. It's always so innovative and fun. My best friend in high school was an Aquarius, and she was just so like cool and artsy and hipster before there was hipsters, like, you know, just had all these bootleg Nirvana stuff. I don't know, she was really cool. And so I always like Aquarius energy. It's always fun. My friend Jeff was an Aquarius. My friend Joe's an Aquarius. Like, shout out to all the fun Aquariuses out there. They always get me to think differently. They were often challenging me in a nice way about like, well, just because it's the status quo, like, why are you doing it? It's good. It's good times. So Aquarius energy is great. It's great for thinking of new things, of inventing, of creating, all of those things. Love it. Our card for the week is from my Cosmic Creator Oracle deck, and it's Amethyst. And Amethyst in this deck, the key word or key phrase is transmutation is yours. Now, what is transmutation? Transmutation is not transformation. They're not interchangeable. Transmutation is like an alchemy term, right? It's the idea of taking something and turning it into something else. Now, I went on a kind of a deep dive. When I studied with Kyle Gray for a year, we would study the different angels. And one of the archangels is Archangel Zadkiel. And Zadkiel is associated with the violet flame. There's different color flames. This is very new age. This is not witchcraft, right? But there's crossover here. Just hear me out. Okay, so Zadkiel is also connected with someone called the Holy Amethyst, which Kyle had not heard of, but the artist who did his Keeper of the Light deck was like, she needs to be in this deck. She's a good companion or balance to Zadkiel. And so the violet flame is this idea that there's this flame that's violet in color, right? There's one of all the rainbow colors that transmutes heavy, dark energy, right? So that we're talking shadow, we're talking trauma, we're talking like heavy emotions, we're talking things that no longer serve us. And so when this card comes up for me, I always think, okay, it's time to face whatever is heavy. and it's time to let it go. And so this is beyond cord cutting. It's more about like digging deep and kind of saying to yourself, what am I holding on to, or what's holding on to me, or what's weighing down on me? And how can I transmute that? Like, what can I turn that into? So another way to think of it is, what are you giving energy to? That's no longer serving you. And where could you give that energy instead? Right? That's a very basic example of transmutation. Taking this energy that you're putting into something that isn't good and putting it into something that serves you. And the very simple way to work with the violet flame, if you're interested, is to go and Google violet flame frequency. And there's tons of different songs and music. There's like on YouTube, it's on Insight Timer, and you can just listen to the frequency when you meditate. Another simple way to do it is to call in the violet flame, to say, I am the violet flame, I am the violet flame, I am the violet flame. Bring it in. I had a very powerful meditation, and definitely is easy to access, right? All you need is an amethyst. So you take an amethyst, place it on your heart, and then envision yourself in a cave or in the middle of the woods, or, just somewhere peaceful, somewhere safe in nature. And then invite in the violet flame. Like, let there be a campfire or a fireplace or a hearth where the fire is violet, right? It's this light purple. And let yourself connect to it. Let it guide you. It might show you, where in your life you need transmutation. It might invite you to step inside. It might bring you guidance. But it's a very powerful tool. And we're in this time of winter. I told you our coven, our focus is illuminate and illumination. And so things like this happen in the winter when we turn inward and we start to think and dream and rest and reflect. Things come up for us, and it's an opportunity to transmute them so that by the time spring comes, we're lighter and more free. So transmutation can be yours. I love that. For this new moon, personally, I think that I will be revisiting the vision board I made, finishing it up, and then I like to do my goals seasonally. So I like to do like a 4-section of like what I want to do in the year seasonally. So I think I will create that. I'll do just kind of like loose goals for each of the seasons and leave it at that for myself. I think that's another good tool for me. I might sit with the violet flame. Talking about it made me realize like these cards, are not just for you guys. They are for me too. Speaking of our coven, it is still only $11 to join with the code Cozy Coven. And you go to jennycbell.com to learn more about that. This week, it's this fresh energy. We're getting this invitation to transmute. It's a new moon. It's Aquarius season. And then, amethyst came in. And so amethyst is, in my book, it's one of the spirit crystals, and it's associated with alchemy and with ancient Egypt, which is really where alchemy was born. And so all of that is obviously connected to transmutation, right? But alchemy is magic, right? And it's this idea of going through a process that you don't just transmute. Like there's like a whole bunch of steps in there, and it's okay to go slow, and it's okay to be patient, and it's okay to believe in spirit and science, right? It's just kind of all this sort of beauty to that. So seasonally, we are still in winter. We are in Yule, winter solstice energy, moving towards Imbolc. And so, we talked last week about planting your garden. And I think another thing that might be fun to do this week is to see if there is a deity or an aspect of the creator that you are interested in connecting with. So if you've never connected with like an angel or a goddess, but you've been interested, this is a good time to start putting out your feelers, right? And how do you do this? So there's different ways. There might be someone who's drawing your attention. Like you might keep seeing Hecate or hearing Hecate or learning about, or you feel excited when you see a book about Hecate, whatever, or you got a book about her and you haven't started it, but you're like, I think I should. There's those kind of nudges that it's like they seem to almost be calling you. Then there is the possibility, if you're very good with meditation and visualization, of sitting in meditation and asking who's there with you. Like who's coming in for guidance. And then you just want to make sure to do your research after, right? You want to make sure it's like truly who they say they were. And so something that helps me is I always just kind of ask my guardian angel, whether you know their name or not, I ask them to be with me as almost like a bouncer in these meditations. If you don't believe in guardian angel, then, a spirit guide of highest consciousness. It could be an animal guide or a goddess, a god, But this is a good time to kind of decide, what energy is coming in for me this year? Like, who do I want to work with? What energy aligns with mine? And you just want to take it seriously, and not every deity that you want to work with wants to work with you back. And sometimes you get called by a deity and you're like, what? That happened to me recently. I had a reading from a friend who I trust, and she does my reading like twice a year. And she's like telling me all the beings that are with me. And I'm like, oh yeah, none of it is surprise. It's like, these are already people, aspects of divinity I work with. It's like a goddess I work with, another goddess I've worked with, a saint I work with. And then she's like, and Thor is coming in for you. I was like, Thor? Because I'm a Marvel fan. I've seen all the movies. I was kind of surprised. So I'm definitely on a Thor journey. I've been reading the Edda and learning more, asking friends, and connecting with Thor. And I've learned so much more. I didn't just thought he was kind of like this Norse god, but he was very European, he was like everybody's god, like he wasn't just the god of thunder, but fertility and farming. And I don't know, it's just, I've learned so much. It's been really fun. And something that helps me too is finding artwork of the angel, saint, goddess, god that I'm interested in working with, and printing it and putting it on my altar. And it's artwork that I like or I connect with. Could be an oracle card too, but it just helps me focus every day. Like, okay, this is the energy that's coming in, and how do I connect with you? Another way is through music, like looking up music. Like green Tara has such beautiful chants to her. So if that was an energy that you wanted to work with, you're very interested in bodhisattvas, or, you feel the need, you're called to spiritual protection, or you work with aventurine and you're like, green Tara, yeah, I really want to connect with her. It's like her music. There's also incense, a lot of times dedicated. You can buy incense to different deities and angels. You want to bring in all your senses. And then if you're like, okay, well, I have no idea. I'm open. I want to work with a deity or an angel, but I have no idea. Go to the children's section of the library and get some books on fairy tales and folk tales and mythology, and go through them and look for art, pictures, stories that jump out at you, and then go from there and do research in the grown-up section. But kids' books always have these beautiful illustrations and artwork. They're put in very simple terms. They're written like Instagram posts, right? They're short, succinct. And we can learn so much about ourselves based on which myths or fairy tales or folk tales call to us. Because if that story just feels right to you, like you're like, I'm just really feel Alice in Wonderland, there's a reason. There's a reason. Read it, watch the movie, whatever, figure out the reason. But now's a good time to do that because it's winter time, it's beginning of the year, it's new moon week, really good time to connect like that. And with that, I will end with some journal questions. So, new moon in Capricorn. What are 3 goals you have for this year? Aquarius season. What are some places in your life you could use inventiveness? Like, in other words, are there routines or things that feel stale? And how can you change them up? And then also, just thinking about, talking about gods, goddesses, deities, is there, when you close your eyes and you really think about it, is there a god, goddess, angel that you feel drawn to? And if so, who is it? And go find out more. I hope you have a great week. Blessed be. As always, thank you for listening. Please subscribe and share with a friend. And be on the lookout for my books, Spirit Crystals, Discover Your Crystal Guide for Healing and Empowerment, and Divergent Witchcraft, an inclusive approach to making magic. And if you want to connect with me more, go to jennycbell.com, JennyCbell.com, to learn about our coven, to learn how to follow me on Substack, and also how to get a reading from me. Blessed be witches.